GIS Day, the day when our geographic information systems professionals celebrate computer mapping. Could you say a couple things on how you see the efforts? Are we doing enough to improve our maps? They're already a lot better than they were, but how are we doing in getting those better?
You know, I think we're doing reasonably well. I mean, I think that and feel free to ask Brent. Brent knows more about mapping than I do, so, you know, he's got the podium later. But I think we're doing pretty well. I mean, you know, at Connected Nation, we've been at this now for 9 years in terms of some level of broadband mapping. Clearly, this is superior to anything that was put out by Connected Nation in its first couple of iterations. The important thing about this is that, this may sound odd, and Brent will shoot me for it, it's like, the map's never going to be right. The map's always going to be off by something. But the program is set up that we reiterate it every 6 months. So I guess in a way it becomes less wrong over time. But we improve on it. And what happens are, you know, services get expanded. You know, service territories get expanded. You know, people upgrade services. You know, that doesn't happen in real time on the map. You know, also what happens is field validation. Over time, and I put this map up because it's really interesting to look at, the areas in peach, not the areas in peach, the areas in that kind of ugly log, are the areas that, you know, on our estimate, are the areas that will be that will receive Connect America funding from the FCC program. That what they're trying to do is they're trying to take the current $4 billion subsidies and shift it out to those areas that don't have by 4 megabits per second service today. So you'll see a shifting into networks built in those areas in particular. Obviously, there's a lot going to be riding on what those areas are, right, and what the service lines are, and whether this blue dot is really that shape or whether it's a different shape. But that's what we're here for. That's why we have field validation teams, we have engineers, we have processes. I do believe the FCC is going to build in a kind of a challenge process as part of this mechanism. That, you know, before they make a subsidy decision, before they make a subsidy decision in Cook County, you know, they're darn well going to make sure that Cook County is all, you know, all MOV. But I do think we are getting better at it. I think, you know, certainly from our perspective, you know, we're doing it every 6 months has this benefit of familiarity with the data sets, and then you can talk back to the provider to say, yeah, have you resolved that question about, you know, the speed tests, you know, in a particular area that didn't necessarily sync up. So having this continuous engagement, I think the most important thing to remember about a map, though, is that it never really is done. And that's going to become increasingly important, because not only are we going to use the map as the initial snapshot for deciding where subsidies are going to go, the FCC is going to build a process to make sure that the networks get built, right? I mean, you know, that is a very clear sentiment from the Commission right now, that they have not really felt that they've had that level of certainty with regard to their current system of subsidies. But for broadband, you know, they're going to have a very rigorous program in place to try and make sure that those networks get built. And built relatively fast, like say, you know, 2 to 3 to 5 year time windows for these upgrades.